So hey, this is Robin. I'm here with some very internationally active, very smart investors. I'm here with Amit from Bessemer, Ciaran from Earlybird, and Felix from Faber Ventures. My name is Robin Wauters. I'm the founding editor of Tech.eu. We're here at the Tech Open Air Festival in Berlin, edition 2015. And we're going to talk about the European landscape, entrepreneurial VC landscape. This should be interesting. So how have you guys been? What's going on?
Good. I mean, as you know, the weather in Berlin is always like this. It's always sunshine, everybody outside. So no, it's not. I think this event brings out the best in Berlin and the best in the European ecosystem. So it's technology, but also lots of creativity and that kind of stuff. So I'm having a blast. I don't know about the other guys.
Well, Gary, you're based out of Berlin, so that you know the scene very well.
Yeah.
You were in Berlin. You actually just moved to Portugal. But I mean, what brings you here?
So this is my first time in Berlin. Actually, I'm very impressed by what I've seen so far. And for us, historically, Bessemer, we have offices in New York, in the Valley, in Boston, Israel, and India. And we did many investments in Europe, but it was kind of an ad hoc thing whenever we saw something interesting. And recently, we're kind of seeing the Valley, as people kind of say, frothy market. And we're trying to see more things outside of the Valley, whether it means central US, whether it means more deals in India, in Israel, and Europe falls under that category as well.
So when's your Berlin office opening?
There's still no Berlin office, but we're going to be here more often.
Awesome. So Felix, tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days.
Well, these days I live in Portugal. I'm in Lisbon and joined Faber Ventures there as a partner. We have offices in Lisbon, UK, and London, and hopefully soon we'll do more here. I think that will happen quite naturally because I've been a native Berliner and have built two companies here, really watched the scene grow from its complete infancy to what it is now, at events like this. Sometimes I can't really believe it when I look 10 years back. And in Lisbon, I feel it's a similar, there's a lot of parallels in terms of where the ecosystem is, where Berlin maybe was 7-8 years ago. So for me, it's actually, it's almost like starting a new company. I mean, I feel Berlin, the baby has kind of grown up. It's happening. People are coming in from all over the world. People choose this place to build a company, and I kind of want to see the same thing happening again. It's almost like a rush.
People also really like to pit Berlin against London or Tel Aviv and start comparing numbers. But I remember, Ciaran, the last time we did an interview at I think it was at the Dublin Web Summit, you mentioned that there isn't really a network of European hubs. It's just a European startup ecosystem because everything's basically so close. That was your argument. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I think in fact if you're doing these comparisons, or if sometimes I'll read on Twitter somebody in Berlin upset about Stockholm or somebody in London upset about Berlin, I just think you cannot get more insecure. Why would you bother about picking on another ecosystem? And that's of course an old European problem. We had a ton of wars against each other. So yeah,
there's some history there.
Yeah. Now, having said that, so the smart people that are viewing it as an ecosystem of connected dots. So Stockholm, London, Berlin, places like Lisbon, others are coming up, door to door. Some of the distances are shorter than a Monday morning from San Francisco to San Jose, right, where eBay has a bunch of companies. So it's overrated. Culturally, the barriers are breaking down. If you look at the tech scenes, especially in London and Berlin, people are here from Israel, from Spain, from all over the place. So it's not like the old nations against each other. And also investors are now free flowing. You have the Nordic funds investing here. You've got the Berlin funds now investing globally. You've got American money going in. So I think that's a very silly attitude, but the smart people in the ecosystem don't really engage with it anymore.
Got it. So you're saying basically I should stop engaging myself if I want to pretend to be smart.
If you want to be smart, yeah.
So Amit, you benefit from a very global perspective. You are now in Tel Aviv, but you used to work out of the New York office, I think you told me. So when you look at European entrepreneurs in general, when they pitch you or when you see them pitch on stage at these events, do you think there's a large difference between entrepreneurs here versus the US or Asia?
I think much less so than you'd expect. I think everybody reads the same blogs today. Everybody reads the same things. So people are much more well informed than they used to be. I think the biggest difference for us As a large fund, we're looking for the really big companies, companies that can be category leaders. And sometimes we still see in Europe companies that are kind of targeting their own region or their own country. And the plan is,
Not
we're going to
ambitious enough,
expand, but
right.
it's going to be, like 2 or 3 years. I'm going to do first Berlin, then Frankfurt, and then, and at that point we kind of realize that it's not for us. So I think that's the biggest difference. Companies in the US, it's a big market. Companies in London, you see them more going not only after the kind of more in the international market. Israel, that's the case because there's no local market. In Berlin, many of the companies that I've seen are kind of still in that category.
So you two have established funds, big assets, but then Faber Ventures is kind of an up-and-coming VC firm. I think it's only started about 3 years ago. Is that correct? 2 years ago. And so tell us a little bit more. How does a young VC firm differentiate itself from the established funds?
Well, I mean, one of the things is that you just have to work twice as hard. I mean, we've done co-investments with bigger funds, and I think they start sending companies our way because they feel we do only seed and pre-seed, because so far we haven't raised a large fund. So the bigger funds they love working with us and also sending deals our way because they know that we're gonna work twice as hard, right? So I mean we have which is unusual for a firm our size and for an early stage firm. 12 developers and designers on staff, and I mean people who know me know that I'm really into product. I mean, I'm not a finance guy. I built 2 companies. I love going really down and working with the founders on design sprints and on strategy. And I know a lot of companies are saying it these days, but in the end, the difference is quality. It's like saying to an entrepreneur, like, you're all saying these days that you have a CTO, right? But what makes you different? Well, the difference is whether your CTO knows his shit or not, right? So I think it really, in the end, it's a reputation game. If you do a good job, and if the companies that, yesterday, one of our companies on Babel, he showed the new translation. They do translation, a new translation interface on mobile, and he was saying, this was built by this one guy, Ivan, who works for Faber. I mean, that's cool when your portfolio company shows the new app and says this was built by this one guy from my VC. I think that's the kind of thing that sort of that word spreads, and in the end, you just have to have a good track record.
Nice and well done, slipping promotion for one of your portfolio companies in there. But when you go further down the stack, you have a plethora of angel groups, AngelList now in the UK. You have crowdfunding as an option. So you have these early stage VCs popping up all over the place. But really, when you look at the data, then really where the money's lacking in Europe is usually the growth stage, like the 20 million rounds and up, where companies need to start looking outside Europe much more often. So do you think that that's not where the gap is, rather than moving early stage?
Well, I think what you're seeing is, historically Europe has very few growth stage funds, most of them in London, but they've been pretty successful and been raising bigger and bigger funds. But what's really happening is that at later stages now, US money is flowing in like crazy, Russian money is coming in, Asian money is coming in. So if you're onto something and you can raise a 20 million Series B, the likelihood is you're going to raise it from the US or from Asian consortium. And in fact, it's a tricky situation for some of the European growth funds. If you want to raise a new European growth fund, your competitors are now Bessemer and Sequoia, and good luck with that, if you don't have an established brand. So I actually think that the market opportunity is there's quite a lot at seed, but only if you're very small seed, like where Felix is, that's already a little bit tougher again. And then if you're really onto something, it becomes easy to raise money in the global stage. It's global. But if you want to be a real risk taker at early stage and raise large amounts, like a 5 million, 6 million Series A, that's pretty tough, frankly.
Got it. So final question, we only have about 30 seconds left, but you are a global VC, so it's true. You see a lot of US investors, Asian investors coming in Europe, usually because the valuations tend to be a little bit more sane than in Silicon Valley. Is that also the reason that a US VC would look at Europe right now?
I think that's not. Yeah, I think it's not completely the case. It is true. The valuations in the valley, we see it every day, have become insane in many companies. But the reason that we look for good companies in Europe, or just the case of good companies, when we invested in TeamViewer or in Skype, these are just great companies, regardless of the valuation. A good company today, in the world today, it's global. It's very easy. Mobile has made it very different. You can reach a real global audience very quickly. And we know there is no kind of cap to how much you can grow, whether you're in Europe or whether you're in the US. The valuation matters, but in the end, what really matters is picking the best companies.
All right, great guys. We're out of time. Thank you very much, and best of luck, and enjoy the festival.
Thanks.